Hi, this is a Sophia Petrillo story, and I have so many stories about her that I should like make a list. But anyway, not always, I often questioned her, not to her face, but in my mind, questioned about her because this is really weird. So many people that she knew had their houses burned down. Also, the house next to her burnt down, and a church around the block from her burnt down. Okay, she since has moved. But I knew her for a little bit, and she had a lovely home that was like restored, like large Victorian house, gorgeous. And there was a schleppy looking house next to her. I think it was like a multi-family, like a rental or whatever. And they had a fire and burnt down, and it was like completely redone, which would bring the value of her house up. Okay. Then I don't know if it was the same time, if like cinders blew, or if it was at a different time, but there was a church around the corner, but like kind of close diagonally to the house next to her, and they had a big fire. Okay. One of her closest friends, I'll give a name, Mary, was her former next door neighbor when she lived in another house before she lived in the big Victorian house. And Mary was very passive and submissive and everything. And Sophia was kind of like a bulldozer. And Sophia talked Mary into getting a divorce. And so Mary was living in a small house, and she was struggling financially as a divorced woman, older. She hadn't really been out in the job world. I think she started driving later in life. It was just a real struggle for her. And Mary went on Match, and she went on many dates. Actually, she was nice looking for an older woman, but she was tall, and her height kind of, for some reason, I don't know, shorter women do better. I don't know, on Match. So anyway, she finally met a man, and they really clicked and hit it off. And they were a couple for a long time, for I don't know if it was 12 years or 18 years, and then they finally got married. The reason why they waited that long to get married was for financial reasons, but that's an aside. So anyway, when she had her house, it burnt down so bad that like she couldn't live there. And then Mary stayed at Sophia's house because Sophia had a big house. So it was like she was renting a room and giving her like, room and board or whatever. And Sophia openly admitted that she was trying to break up Mary and her fiance for years. She did all kinds of devious things. I would have ended the friendship right there because, whether your relationship is dysfunctional or not, people need to respect you and your choices. So, and the guy wasn't bad at all. Sophia accused him of burning down her house so that she would move in with him, but she ended up moving in with Sophia Petrillo. And the night that the fire happened, he was like a scoutmaster with the Boy Scouts, and they were camping in tents out in Ulster County. And so I remember saying that to her, and she said, oh, he could have had plenty of time. He could have waited till everyone was asleep and then snuck out and drove and then like started a fire and then like drove back and no one would have even known he was gone and blah, blah, blah. Well, you would have to go over a bridge. There's cameras. There's all kinds. No, why would he do that? She was crazy, right? She was also friends with like an older man, Bill, who was kind of funny. And he used to get her 420. And he was like older and retired. And he did a lot of like handyman work. And that house needed a lot of handyman work, at least initially. And then maintenance, because it was a big old Victorian house. And his house burnt down. And then he needed a place to stay. Okay, So 2 people close to her, then the next door, then the church that was like through the backyard diagonally across. So now at this point, it was like around maybe 2015 that I moved to Tennessee. And I remember joking to Perry that, oh, when I come back for a visit in the spring, am I going to find out what else got burnt down? And then I was making jokes about it. Well, I don't know what the exact year, but I had said something like that, got back and found out that there were some friends of hers, a gay couple that had a business in the area, that burnt down. She was also friends with a woman whose son had a like a small restaurant, maybe like more of a to-go place. I don't know if it was the son or the daughter and then the spouse. And that burnt down. So like all these fires that were going around were like all people she knew. So I told Perry, I said, if my house ever burns down or something happens to me, call the police in New York and tell them, give them her name and tell them what I've told you. And I told him that if I found out about one more fire connected to someone she knew, that I was going to go to the police in that town and just basically tell them my suspicions. I mean, maybe it was just a coincidence. I don't know anyone that's had a fire. And everyone that I know really hasn't said anything about fires. There was a property on the road that I stay in Tennessee, the house that I stay in Tennessee, that there was like an older building and it was abandoned and there was like a fire there, you know. But I mean, that was a couple of years ago, but you never really see that many fires. And like, you know, when I was like a lot more social and knew a lot of people, no one was ever talking about fires. Or that there was a fire here or a fire there. And this woman had all these fires around her geographically and people that she knew or were friends with. Just to me, it's too coincidental. So therefore, she sold that house and she moved further north. If they start having fires all around where she is now, to me, it's proof. That's crazy. That's really crazy that all of this happened. But anyway, I'm sorry it's not maybe as exciting or whatever, but there's so many things around this woman that were odd that, like, I'm starting to think she was the Antichrist, wrapped up in the package of looking like Sophia Petrillo with a nymphomaniac lurking underneath. Anyway, everyone have a good day. Bye.